Hello, wrestling fans. I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and as you know, this Sunday is WWE's Elimination Chamber pay per view. There are, of course, two Elimination Chamber matches that will be taking place. One is for the WWE title, and the other is actually for a shot at the Universal Championship. But today I'm only going to be talking about the second of those two, which is the one they're just calling it the Smackdown Elimination Chamber match. That's the one I'm going to be talking about in this video today. Last week I talked about the other one, the WWE title Elimination Chamber match. So go check that video out if you haven't seen that yet. It'll be up here on that circle thing that pops up on the top of your screen. But today's video is all about who I think will win the SmackDown Elimination Chamber match and thus earn a shot at the Universal Championship right after that on the same show. Let's get started. The participants in this match are Kevin Owens, Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro. So right off the bat, let's start with who I don't think is likely to win the chamber because it wouldn't really make any sense and it would be kind of boring to see actually happen. I'm talking about the first one's Baron Corbin. I really hope he doesn't win because then we get a heel versus a heel, Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin. And yeah, I mean, Roman is most likely going to retain his championship in this match because he requested that it be basically his way out of having to defend the title in the chambers, that he defends it right after, so that person will be weak. But just Baron Corbin, I think, would be a stupid choice to have win the Elimination Chamber. He should be one of the first people eliminated. He's not really that exciting of a wrestler, to be honest, and and even if he does win the Chamber, I don't see him winning the Universal title anyways. But him and then Sami Zayn is the other one, because I think it fits more with Sami Zayn's character if he doesn't win, because then he can continue with this whole conspiracy theory thing that he's doing where he thinks everybody's against him or WWE officials are against him. So if he's like one of the first that gets eliminated, that'll fit in with his character, I think, and continue on with what he's been doing. So I don't think he's going to win the actual chamber match either. Now we'll talk about the more likely scenarios that might play out. One of them is Kevin Owens wins and faces Roman Reigns again. He'll probably still lose afterwards because we've seen when Kevin Owens has fought Roman Reigns in these past couple months, he's been losing. Like, he fought him at TLC and he lost. He fought him at the Royal Rumble and he lost. Now he's going to fight him at Elimination Chamber if he wins the whole thing. And he'll probably lose again because I don't see them. If it's Kevin Owens, really, I don't think they're going to take the title off of Roman. If they do, they'll just have Roman win it back at Fastlane, probably. I'd like Kevin Owens to at least win the chamber so that they can kind of get that closure. And maybe it would be funny because Roman thinks he's going to win easily, and then Kevin comes out with like a stunner or two, but Roman keeps kicking out. And then Roman ultimately still wins. I could see Kevin actually being one of the ones that wins the chamber, but not necessarily beats Roman for the title. I think that there's somebody else that I think will actually win the chamber and win the championship in the same night. I'll get into that in a little bit. The next likely scenario is actually Cesaro. I think everybody's like really looking forward to Cesaro winning. The only problem with this is that it seems like he's involved in a rivalry with Seth Rollins. So I could see if he does win the Elimination Chamber and does fight Roman Reigns right afterwards, I think Seth Rollins is probably going to interfere so they can continue this. I think this is leading to Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, because Bryan's sort of been affiliated with Cesaro. So I think it'll be if Seth Rollins costs Cesaro this match, they'll fight each other at like Fastlane, and then Cesaro will lose, or Seth will lose maybe, or Seth will win, and then Daniel Bryan can challenge Seth to a match at WrestleMania. That would be a fun match, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to that, but I think if Cesaro at least wins the Elimination Chamber, though, that is like a huge thing to do, especially against these top. I mean, technically, these are the top guys on SmackDown for the most part. I mean, Baron Corbin is in a lot of main events, or has been in the past in a lot of main events. He doesn't really feel like a main eventer, but I mean, he's one of the people they have on SmackDown that's usually in main events. And him and Roman Reigns had that old rivalry back in last year, but I just think Cesaro winning the Chamber would do really good for his character, especially they seem to be giving him a push. I don't know what the reason for this is. I don't think he's necessarily going to win the championship just yet. I kind of would want to see him versus like Big E for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. I think that would be like a fun big guy back and forth match, but there's also that mix of like a little bit of high flying stuff like Cesaro does with his flying uppercuts and things, but I don't think Cesaro's quite been built up yet for the Universal Championship. As much as he is good in the ring, they've just had him in tag teams for many years. So I think he's not quite ready for the Universal title just yet. But winning the Chamber, I mean, that puts him in the main event for the Universal title, but I don't see him actually winning that title off of Roman Reigns. That might be a fun match too, especially if Cesaro was like number 6 in the Chamber. He's not as weak as like Roman was hoping for, and then he has a good 5-minute match with Roman Reigns. I mean, heck, that would be a good match too. I just don't see Cesaro actually winning the title. And then the last likely scenario that I'm going to talk about before I get into who I think is actually going to win the Chamber and is going to win the title, like from what I want to see. The last likely scenario that could play out is Jey Uso wins the Elimination Chamber. He was kind of put in there like nonchalantly. Like Adam Pearce is just like, there's 2 people that I don't think need to qualify. I think they've earned the right to be in this chamber. One of them is Kevin Owens, the other is Jey Uso. And like, I think the uniqueness of this is that if Jey wins the chamber, now the question is, what's he going to do when he faces Roman? Will he like lay down so Roman can pin him and easily get the win? Is he going to actually fight Roman again and try and win the title off of him? Is this going to cause a split in Roman and Jey, like, and in that family dynamic they have? Things like that. There's so many different things that could play out off of this. I just don't see Jey actually winning the title. Because right now, I think, for the most part, I think it's building to Roman versus Edge at WrestleMania. So having like Roman lose the title to someone here just to win it back at Fastlane, just to lose it again, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, and it's probably not going to be Jey Uso. However, the one scenario that I really do want to play out, and I do hope that happens, is Daniel Bryan wins the Elimination Chamber match, and then also, in like a big underdog, surprising, shocking moment, beats Roman Reigns for the championship after the chamber match. And it could even be the odds are stacked against him. He gets attacked after the Elimination Chamber, whatever, but Daniel still wins. And then Daniel Bryan takes the title the whole way to WrestleMania. So, like, let's say Roman tries to fight him for the title at Fastlane. Somebody else costs Roman, like maybe Kevin Owens again, costs Roman this match so that Daniel can retain the title. And then we get Daniel Bryan versus Edge at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship. I think that is a really solid match that should happen. It's probably not going to, in all fairness, but that's what I want to see happen, because then you get that dynamic of Daniel and Edge both were forced to retire because of their injuries, and they weren't able to come back for several years. For Edge, it was 11 years, so he was out a lot longer, but, you know, Daniel Bryan was like 3 years, I think, and he got to come back. So just putting them two in the ring with that kind of story, like they both living out their dream one last time, and they both got to basically retire on their own terms. I think that would be a fun story to tell for WrestleMania. And then Edge can win the title, I mean, off of Daniel Bryan. Then maybe they can feud over it for a couple months. I really think Edge is winning the title at WrestleMania, but that's a video for another day. But I could see Daniel Bryan even being the underdog, like even if he wins the chamber from like entry number 1. He's one of the first 2 people in the ring with, like, let's say Baron Corbin or something. and then he ends up winning the whole thing, but he's weak, and Roman thinks, oh, this is gonna be easy, but then Daniel ends up winning. I think it would be kind of funny as well, just to see Roman like get all cocky and underestimate Daniel, and then Daniel still wins. Even if it is just a roll up, I know that's not as exciting of an ending, but if Daniel still wins the title, just in the long term, in a general sense of predicting WrestleMania, that's what I look forward to the most, is Daniel Bryan versus Edge for the Universal title. Since they didn't have Daniel win the Royal Rumble like we all thought, I still said they could have done Daniel versus Edge if Edge had won the title. Like if Daniel had won the Rumble and then Edge won the title, Daniel versus Edge at WrestleMania, it still works out the same way. But in this case, it would be Daniel wins the title here and then takes it to Fastlane and then goes to WrestleMania to face Edge. I think that's a lot better than Edge versus Roman Reigns, to be honest. I'm sure a lot of you would like that too. And then you could just have like Roman Reigns in a throwaway match with like Kevin Owens again, just to culminate their rivalry before Roman gets the title back or something. But yeah, so who I think should win the Elimination Chamber this Sunday is Daniel Bryan. But who do you guys think is going to win? And if whoever you pick, are they going to win the championship as well? Like, what are you looking forward to? What scenarios are you looking forward to playing out? Let us know that down in the comments section. Also, if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can see every Thursday we have more wrestling content for you, and then Saturdays and Sundays we have other TV shows and movies stuff, and then Wednesdays is gaming. So if you're a fan of any of those things, please subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching the video, everyone.
Subscribe.